It's Christian, it's civilized. With the collapse of the frontiers, this Roman province becomes overrun by people from outside. A Germanic people called the Franks. And they are pagan. So you've now got a civilized Christian people ruled by a pagan foreign upper class. The leader of the Franks, the king of the Franks, in effect, is a certain Clovis. We got him there. We're talking about a 5th century matter now, just not so far from Patrick's time. In the 5th century, the area is overrun by the Franks under King Clovis, military adventurer supported by an officer caste of the same sort of people, warriors. Roman administration had broken down. It's quite significant, I think, that the person who had to negotiate with Clovis was the Christian bishop. The only form of civil society left was the church. Political structures have all collapsed. Roman administration has gone by the wall. And Clovis settles down to rule his Christian people. He took a wife from his subjects, who is of course a Christian. And his wife seeks his conversion, wants him to worship her God. Clovis has got one unanswerable argument against Christianity. If his wife's God had been as powerful as she said, he wouldn't have been able to conquer them. The weakness of the Christian God was manifest in his own conquest. But his wife perseveres, and when a child is born, she arranges for the baptism of this son, taking care that the ceremony will be as strikingly performed as possible, hoping to impress Clovis with the nature of Christian worship. All her elaborate care is in vain because the child dies, still in the baptismal robe. What has Clovis got to think now about the Christian God? He is confirmed in his view that the Christian God is ineffectual. Another child is born. This child is also baptized and immediately falls sick. In this case, recovery follows, but again, Clovis is not going to be very impressed. Clovis did change his mind. he got into a desperate military situation where it seemed he must be overwhelmed. When all else failed, he was left with just one resource: prayer to the God worshipped by his wife. And beyond all expectation, the enemy withdrew from the field, just as their victory could have been complete. This does impress Clovis. Here, he had in fact, so desperate was his plight, he had in fact made a vow to his wife's God that if he was delivered, he would be baptized. Now that the deliverance has taken place, Clovis begins to regret this rash vow because he's afraid of the officer class. His own hold is pretty precarious. If they turn against him, if there's a coup, he can be destroyed. But he finds that the officer caste have been impressed by the same fact as himself. And this deliverance so soon after praying to the Christian God. They've all decided there can be no harm in adopting the worship of a divinity who's so powerful as this. So Clovis was baptized, and the baptism of the king was followed by 3,000 of his military followers. The political consequences were very considerable. We get this story from Gregory of Tours, Gregory Bishop of Tours, who himself belongs to the long-standing Christianity of the subject people. And you can see that Gregory is recognizing how Clovis's mind works. Gregory is an orthodox theologian, but he can see that Clovis is swayed by the traditional expectations and the goals of traditional religion. It's about power and protection. Look at the next story too. It's a story given by Bede about the kingdom, the conversion of the English kingdom of Northumbria. It's quite a bit later. This takes place in the 7th century. As I said, this is a process that's going on over several centuries. One of the reasons it takes so long is that these peoples are often being overwhelmed by other peoples. So you can get a situation, and this has occurred in this particular case, you've had the Christianization of this part of what's now northern England, Christian population, then you get pagan invaders, and Christianity disappears. The Christian population is swamped, or it evacuates, in this case moved further west, and evangelization has to start all over again. And this happens quite frequently. Anyway, we've got a situation here where you've got new kingdom set up under Edwin, invaders who've come from Germany, the Angles who give their name to England, and we're in the 7th century. Edwin the king, like Clovis, has a Christian wife. In this case, he's acquired his wife from another kingdom further south, which was Christian, and the wife would be part of an alliance, a treaty between the kingdoms. It's clear that Edwin is personally well disposed to Christianity. He likes what he hears about it from his wife and from her chaplain, which is part of the marriage settlement she's been allowed to bring with her. But he cannot make any decision without the support of his leading men. So he calls a council to discuss what Bede calls the new doctrine and the new worship. One of those who speaks first is a priest of the old religion, and he gives his counsel to the king in favour of Christianity on these grounds. None of your people, he says, he's talking to the king, none of your people has applied themselves more diligently to the gods than I have. Nevertheless, many people receive more favour from you than I do, and are more prosperous in all that they do. If the gods were good for anything, they would have promoted me instead, since I've been careful to serve them. If, therefore, on examining these teachings, you find them better and more efficacious, I propose you receive them without delay. Notice those words, better and more efficacious. Will they work? Will this new religion work? The speaker is a religious specialist. Religion for him and for the group as a whole is about power and protection. And the present cultus that's under his supervision hasn't been delivering that very well. The existing religious system is failing to deliver the acknowledged goals. So it's worth trying something different. Another speaker at the council is a senior warrior, and he takes a rather different track.